And welcome back. Chapter 4. I could have chosen anything to do on this 6 hour drive. I could have listened to Bohemian Rhapsody over 60 times. I could have called my old friend Natalie and played catch up, especially since I haven't even spoken to her in over 6 months. We text occasionally, but it would have been nice to hear her voice. Or maybe I could have used the time to mentally prep myself for all the reasons I'm going to stay far away from Jeremy Crawford while I'm in his home. But instead of doing any of that, I chosen to listen to the audiobook of the first novel of Verity Crawford's series. It just ended. My knuckles are white from gripping the steering wheel so tightly. My mouth is parched from forgetting to hydrate on the drive over. My self esteem is somewhere back in Albany. She's good, really good. Now I'm regretting having signed the contract. I'm not sure I can live up to that. And to think she's already written 6 of these novels, all from the villain's point of view, how can one brain hold that much creativity? Maybe the other 5 suck, I can hope. That way, there won't be much expectation for the final 3 books in the series. Who am I kidding? Every time one of Verity's novels release, it hits number 1 on the Times. I just made myself twice as nervous than when I left Manhattan. I spend the rest of the drive ready to go back to New York with my tail between my legs, but I stick it out because thinking I'm not good enough is part of the writing process. It's part of mine anyway. For me, there are 3 steps to completing each of my books. 1. Start the book and hate everything I write. 2. Keep writing the book despite hating everything I write. 3. Finish the book and pretend I'm happy with it. There's never a point in my writing process where I feel like I've accomplished what I set out to accomplish, or when I believe I've written something everyone needs to read. Most of the time, I cry in my shower and stare at my computer screen like a zombie, wondering how so many other authors can promote their books with so much confidence. This is the greatest thing since the last book I wrote. You should read it. I'm the awkward writer who posts a picture of my book and say, "It's an okay book. There are words in it. Read it if you want." I'm afraid this particular writing experience will be even worse than I imagined. Hardly anyone reads my books, so I don't have to suffer through too many negative reviews. But once my work is out there with Verity's name on it, it's going to be read by hundreds of thousands of readers with built in expectations for this series. And if I fail, Corey will know I failed. The publisher will know I failed. Jeremy would know I failed. And depending on her mental state, Verity may know I failed. Jeremy didn't clarify the extent of Verity's injuries when we were in the meeting, so I have no idea if she's injured beyond the point of communication. There were very little online about her car wreck, other than a couple of vague articles. The publisher released a statement shortly after the wreck stating Verity's received 9 life-threatening injuries. 2 weeks ago, they released another statement that says she was recovering peacefully at home. But her editor, Amanda, said they wanted to keep the extent of her injuries out of the media. So it's a possibility they downplayed it all. Or maybe, after all the loss she's experienced over the past 2 years, she simply doesn't want to write again. I guess it's understandable they need to ensure the completion of the series. The publishers don't want to see their biggest source of income crash and burn. And while I'm honored I was asked to complete it, I don't necessarily want to be thrown into that kind of spotlight. When I started writing, it wasn't my goal to become famous. I dreamt of a life where enough people would buy my books and I could pay my bills and never be propelled into life of riches and fame. Very few authors reach that level of success, so it was never a concern that it would happen to me. I realized attaching my name to this series would boost sales of my past books and ensure more opportunity in the future, but Verity is extremely successful, as is this series I'm taking over. By attaching my real name to her series, I would be subjecting myself to the kind of attention I spent most of my life fearing. I'm not looking for my 15 minutes of fame, I'm looking for a paycheck. It's going to be a long wait for that advance. I spent most of the rest of my money renting this car and putting my things in storage. I paid a deposit for an apartment, but it won't be ready until next week, or maybe even a week after, which means what little I have left will need to go to a hotel once I leave the Crawford home. This is my life, sort of homeless, living out of a suitcase just 1.5 weeks after the last of my immediately family member passed away. Can it get worse? I could be married to Amos right now, so life could always be worse. Jesus, Lowen. I rolled my eyes at my inability to realize how many writers would kill for this opportunity. And here I am thinking my life has hit rock bottom. Ungrateful. Party of one. I have to stop looking at my life through my mother's glasses. Once I get the advance on those novels, everything will start looking up. I'll no longer be between apartments. I took the exit for Crawford home a few miles back. The GPS is leading me down a long, windy road flanked by flowering dogwood trees and houses that keep getting bigger and more spread apart. When I finally reached the turn in, I put the rental in park and stopped and admired the entrance. Two tall brick columns loomed on both sides of the driveway, a driveway that never seems to end. I craned my neck trying to see the length of it, but the dark asphalt snakes between the trees. Somewhere up there is the house, and somewhere inside of that house lies Verity Crawford. I wonder if she knows I'm coming. My palms start to sweat, so I lift them off the steering wheel and hold them in front of the air vent to dry them. The security gate is propped open, so I put the car in drive and slowly amble past the sturdy wrought irons. I tell myself not to freak out, even as I notice that the repetitive pattern of the top of the iron gates resembles spider webs. I shiver as I follow a curve, the trees getting denser and taller until the house comes into view. I spot the roof first as I climb the hill, slate gray like an angry storm cloud. Seconds later, the rest of it appears and my breath snags in my throat. Dark stone works its way across the front of the house, broken only by the blood red door, the only relief of color in this sea of gray. Ivy covers the left side of the house, but instead of charming, it's threatening, like a slow moving cancer. I think of the apartment I left behind, the dingy walls and the too small kitchen with the olive green refrigerator, circa 1970. My entire apartment would probably fit into the entrance hall of this monster. My mother used to say that houses have a soul, and if that is true, the soul of Verity Crawford's house is as dark as they come. The online satellite image did not do this property justice. I stalked the home before showing up. According to a realtor website, they purchased the home 5 years ago for $2.5 million. It's worth over $3 million now. It's overwhelming and huge and secluded, but it doesn't have the typical formal vibe of home of this caliber. There isn't an air of security clinging to the walls. I edge the car along the driveway, wondering where I'm supposed to park. The lawn is lush and manicured, at least 3 acres deep. The lake behind the house stretches from one edge of the property to the other. The green mountains paint a picturesque backdrop so beautiful it's hard to believe the awful tragedy its owners have experienced. I sigh in relief as I spot a concrete parking area next to the garage. I put my car in park and then kill the engine. My car doesn't fit in with this house at all. I'm kicking myself for selecting the cheapest car I could possibly rent. $30 a day. I wonder if Verity has ever sat in a Kia Soul. In the article I read about her wreck, she was driving a Range Rover. I reach for the passenger seat to grab my phone so I can text Corey to let him know I made it, When I put my hand on the driver's side door handle, I stiffened, straightened my spine against the back seat. I turned and looked out the window. Shit! What the fuck? I slapped my chest to make sure I still have a heartbeat as I stared back at the face staring into my car window. Then, when I see that the figure at the door is only a child, I cover my mouth, hoping he's heard his fair share of curse words. He doesn't laugh, he just stares, which seems even creepier than if he'd have scared me on purpose. He's a miniature version of Jeremy, the same mouth, the same green eyes. I read in one of the articles that Verity and Jeremy had 3 children. This must be their little boy. I open the door and he takes a step back as I get out of the car. Hey, the child doesn't respond. Do you live here? Yes. I looked at the house behind him, wondering what that must be like for a child to grow up in such a home. Must be nice, I muttered. Used to be. He turns and begins walking up the driveway towards the front door. I instantly feel bad for him. I'm not sure I've given much thought to the situation this family is in. This little boy, who can't be more than 5 years old, had lost both of his sisters. And who knows what that kind of grief has done to his mother. I know it was apparent in Jeremy. I saved my suitcase for later and shut my door, following the little boy. I'm only a few feet behind him when he opens the front door and walks into the house and closes the door in my face. I wait a moment, wondering if maybe he has a sense of humor, but I can see through the frosted window of the front door and he continues through the house and doesn't come back to let me in. I don't want to call him an asshole. He's a little kid and he's been through a lot, but I think he might be an asshole. I ring the doorbell and wait, and wait, and wait. I ring the doorbell again, but get no answer. Jeremy put his contact information in the email he sent me, so I pulled up his number and texted him. It's Lowen, I'm at the front door. I send the text and wait. A few seconds later, I hear steps descending the stairs. I can see Jeremy's shadow through the frosted glass grow larger as he approached the door. Right before it opened, I see him pause like he's taking a breath. I don't know why, but that pause reassured me that maybe I'm not the only one nervous about this whole situation. Weird how his potential discomfort brings me comfort. I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. He opens the door, and although he's the same man I met a few days ago, he's different. No suit or tie, no air of mystery about him. He's in sweatpants and a blue bandanish t-shirt, socks, no shoes. Hey, I don't like the buzz rushing through me right now. I ignored and smiled at him. Hi. He stares for a second and then steps aside, opening the door wider, waving me with his arms. Sorry, I was upstairs. I told Crew to get the door. Guess he didn't hear me. I stepped into the foyer. Do you have a suitcase? Jeremy asked. I spin around to face him. Yeah, it's in my back seat, but I can get it later. Is the car unlocked? I nod. Be right back. He slips on a pair of shoes next to the door and walks outside. I spin in a slow circle, checking out my surroundings. Not much is different from the pictures I saw of the home online. It feels odd because I've seen all of the rooms in the house already thanks to the realtor website. I feel like I already know my way around, and I'm only 5 feet into the house. There's a kitchen to the right and living room to the left. They're separate by an entryway with a staircase that leads to the second floor. The kitchen in the picture was trimmed with dark cherry cabinetry, but it's been updated. And all the old cabinets have been ripped out, replaced mostly by shelves and a few cabinets above the countertop that are a blundered wood. There are 2 ovens, a refrigerator with a glass door. I'm staring at it from several feet away when the little boy comes bounding down the stairs. He runs past me and opens the refrigerator, pulling out a bottle of Dr. Pepper. I watch as he struggled to twist open the lid. Want me to open it for you? I ask him. Yes, please, he says, looking up at me with those big green eyes. I can't believe I thought he was an asshole. His voice is so sweet and his hands are so tiny, they can't even open a bottle of soda yet. I take it from him and twist open the bottle with ease. The front door opens as I'm handing the soda back to Crew. Jerry narrows his eyes in Crew's direction. I just told you, no sodas. He leaves my suitcase against the wall and walks over to Crew, pulling the soda out of his hand. Go get ready for your shower. I'll be there in a minute. Crew rolls his head and stalks back towards the stairs. Jeremy cocks an eyebrow. Never trust that kid. He's smarter than both of us put together. He takes a sip of the soda before returning it to the refrigerator. You want something to drink? No, I'm fine. Jeremy grabs my suitcase and carries it down the hallway. I hope it's not weird, but I'm giving you the master bedroom. We all sleep upstairs now, and I thought it would be easier because it's the closest room to her office. I'm not even sure I'm staying the night, I say as I follow behind him. The place gives me an eerie vibe, and so it would be nice if I could grab what I need and find a hotel. I was planning to check out her office and assess the situation. He laughs, pushing the bedroom door open. Trust me, you'll need at least 2 days, maybe more. He lays the suitcase on the chest at the foot of the bed and then opens the master closet and point to an empty area. I made some space in case you need to hang anything. He points towards the bathroom. Bathroom is all yours. I'm not sure if there are toiletries, so let me know if you need anything. I'm sure we have it. Thank you. I look around the room and this all feels so bizarre, especially that I'll be sleeping in their bed. My eyes are pulled to the headboard, specifically to the teeth marks bitten into the top edge of the headboard in the center of the bed. What? I immediately I immediately tear my eyes away before Jeremy catches me looking. He'll probably see all over my face that I'm wondering which one of them had to bite the headboard in order to keep quiet during sex. Have I ever had sex that intense? You need a minute alone in here, or would you like to go ahead and see the rest of the house? Jeremy asks. I'm good, I say, following him. He walks into the hallway, but I pause, eyeing the bedroom door. Does this door lock? He takes a step back inside the bedroom, looking at the door handle. I don't know that we've ever locked it. He jiggles the handle. I'm sure I can find a lock if it's important to you. I haven't slept in a bedroom without a lock since I was 10. I want to beg him to find a lock, but I also don't want to be even more intrusive than I already am. No, it's fine. He lets go of the door, but before stepping back out into the hallway, he says, before I take you upstairs, do you know what name you'll be writing this series under? I hadn't thought about it since finding out Panton agreed to the demands Jeremy told me to make. I shrugged. I haven't really thought about it. I'd like to introduce you to Verity's nurse using your pen name in case you never want anyone attaching you to the series. Her injuries are bad enough that she needs a nurse? Okay, I guess. I'm clueless as to what name I should use. What street did you grow up on? Jeremy asks. Laura Lane. What was the name of your first pet? Chase. He was a Yorkie. Laura Chase, he says. I like it. I tilt my head, recognizing the pattern of questions from Facebook quizzes. Is that how people figure out their porn star name? He laughed. Pen name, porn star name, works across the board. He motions for me to follow him. Come on, meet Verity first, and then I'll take you to her office. Jeremy takes the stairs 2 at a time. There's an elevator that looks newly installed right past the kitchen. Verity must be in a wheelchair now. God, the poor woman. Jeremy is waiting for me when I reach the top of the stairs. The hallway splits with three doors on one end and two on the other. He turns left. This is Crew's bedroom, he says, pointing towards the first room. I sleep in that room, he points to the door next to Crew's. Across the hall from those two bedrooms is another room. The door is shut, so he taps on it gently and then pushes it open. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I certainly wasn't expecting this. She's on her back in the bed, staring up at the ceiling, her blonde hair spilled over her pillow. A nurse in blue scrubs is at the foot of her bed, putting socks on her feet. Crew is lying next to Verity on the bed, holding an iPad. Verity's eyes are vacant, uninterested in her surroundings. She's unaware of the nurse, unaware of me, of Crew, of Jeremy as he leans over and brushes hair from her forehead. She blinks, but there's nothing else there. No recognition that the man she had 3 children with is trying to be affectionate with her. I try to cover the chills that have appeared on my arm. The nurse addresses Jeremy. She seems tired, so I thought I'd put her to bed early tonight. She pulls a blanket over Verity. Jeremy moves to the window and closes the curtain. Did she take her after dinner meds? The nurse lifts Verity's feet, tucking the blanket beneath him. Yeah, she's good until midnight. The nurse is older than Jeremy, maybe in her mid-50s with short red hair. She glances at me and then back at Jeremy, waiting for an introduction. Jeremy shakes his head like he forgot I'm even here. He waves towards me while looking at the nurse. This is Laura Chase, the author I was telling you about. Laura, this is April, Verity's nurse. I shake April's hand, but feel her judgment as she eyes me up and down. I thought you'd be older, she said. What do I even say to that? Coupled by the way she looks at me, her comment feels like a dig or accusation. I ignored it and smiled. It's good to meet you, April. You too. She grabs her purse off the dresser, directing her attention to Jeremy. I'll see you in the morning. Should be an early night. She reaches down and pinches Crew's thighs. He giggles and scoots away from her. I step aside as April exits the bedroom. I glance at the bed. Verity's eyes are still open, connecting with nothing. I'm not sure she's even aware her nurse left. Is she aware of anything? I feel terrible for Crew, for Jeremy, and for Verity. I don't know that I want to live in this condition, and knowing Jeremy is tied to this life, it's all so depressing. This house, the trapecies, the tragedies in this family past, the struggles in their present. Crew, don't make me do it. I told you to shower. Crew looks up at Jeremy and smiles, but fails to get off the bed. I'm going to count to 3. Crew set his iPad aside but continues to defy Jeremy. 3, 2, and then at the count of 1, Jeremy lunges at Crew, gripping his ankle and pulling him up in the air. Upside down night it is. Crew is laughing and squirming. Not again. Jeremy looks over at me. Laura, how many seconds can a kid hang upside down before their brain flips over and they start talking backwards? I laugh at their interaction. I heard 20 seconds, but it could be 15. Crew says, no, Daddy, I'll go shower. I don't want my brain to be upside down. And you'll clean out your ears? Because they clearly weren't working before when I told you to take a shower. I swear. Jeremy tossed him over his shoulder, turning him right side up before placing him back on his feet. He ruffled his hair and says, go. I watch as Crew rushes out the door and into his bedroom across the hall. Watching Jeremy interact with Crew makes the house seem a little more welcoming. He's cute. How old is he? 5, Jeremy says. He reaches down to the side of Verity's hospital bed and raises it a bit. He grabs a remote off the table next to her bed and turns on the TV. We both exit the bedroom and he pulls the door slightly shut. I'm standing in the middle of the hallway when he faces me. He slides his hands into the pockets of his gray sweatpants. He acts like he wants to say more, explain more, but he doesn't. He signs and looks back at Verity's bedroom. Crew was scared to sleep up here by himself. He's been a trooper, but nights are rough for him. He wanted to be closer to her, but he didn't like sleeping downstairs. I moved us both here to make it easier on him. Jeremy makes his way back down the hallway, which means you have the run of the downstairs at night. He flips off the hallway light. Want to see her office? Of course. I follow him downstairs to the double doors near the stairwell landing. He pushes open the double doors, revealing the most intimate part of his wife, her office. When I step inside, I feel like I'm rummaging around her underwear drawer. There are floor-to-ceiling bookshelves with books tucked into every vacant crevices. Boxes of paper line the walls. The desk, my God, her desk. It extends from one end of the room to the other, stretching along a wall lined with huge window panes, overlooking the entirety of the backyard. There isn't an inch of desk that isn't covered with a stack of pages or files. She's not the most organized person, Jeremy says. I smile, recognize the kinship with Verity most writers are in. It'll take time. I would attempt to organize it myself, but it's all Greek to me. I walk to one of the shelves closest to me and run my hand over some of the books. They're foreign edition of her work. I pluck a German copy from the shelf and examine it. She has her laptop and a desktop, Jeremy says. I wrote the passwords on sticky notes for you. He picks up a notebook next to her computer. She was constantly taking notes, writing down thoughts. She write ideas down on napkins, dialogues in the shower on a waterproof notepad. Jeremy dropped the notepad back onto the desk. She once used a Sharpie to write down character's name on the bottom of Crew's diaper. We were at the zoo and she didn't have a notepad. He does a full slow circle as he looked around her office like it's been a while since he stepped foot in here. The world was her manuscript. No surface was safe. My insides warmed at the way he seemed to appreciate her creative process. I spin in a circle, taking it all in. I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't want to laugh when you said you might not need to stay the night, but in all honesty, this might take you more than 2 days. If it does, you're welcome to stay as long as you need. I'd rather you take your time and make sure you have everything you need than go back to New York unsure of how to tackle it. I looked at the shelves containing the series I'm taking over. There are to be 9 total books in the series. 6 have been published and 3 are still to be delivered. The series titled The Noble Virtues, and each book is a different virtue. The 3 that are left up to me are courage, truth, and honor. All 6 books are on her shelf, and I'm relieved to see extras. I pull a copy of the second novel off the shelf and skim through it. Have you read this series yet? Jeremy asks. I shake my head, not wanting to reveal I listened to the audiobook. He might ask me questions about it. I haven't yet. I didn't have time between signing the contract and coming here. I place the book back on the shelf. Which is your favorite? I haven't read any of them either, not since her first book. I spin and look at him. Really? I didn't like being inside her head. I hold back my smile, but he sounds a little bit like Corey right now, unable to separate the world his wife creates from the one she lives in. At least Jeremy seems a little bit more self-aware. Corey, self-aware than Corey ever was. I look around the room, slightly overwhelmed, but I'm not sure if it's because Jeremy is standing here or because of the chaos I'm about to have to sort through. I don't even know where to start. Yeah, I'll let you get to that. Jeremy points to the office door. I should probably go check on crew. Make yourself at home. Food, drink, the house is yours. Thank you. Jeremy closes the door and I settle in at Verity's desk. The desk chair alone probably costs more than a month's rent in my apartment. I wonder how much easier writing is for someone who has money to burn on things I've always dreamed of having at my disposal while I write. Comfortable furniture, enough money to have an on-call masseuse, more than one computer. I imagine it would make the writing process a lot easier and a lot less stressful. I have a laptop with a missing key and a Wi-Fi when a neighbor forgets to password protect theirs. I sit on an old dining room chair at a makeshift desk that's really just a plastic folding table I ordered from Amazon for 25 bucks. Most of the time I don't even have enough money for printer ink and computer paper. I guess being here in her office for a few days will be one way to test my theory. The richer you are, the more creative you're able to be. I take a second book of the series off the shelf. I open it, only intending to glance at it, see how she's picked up from where book one left off. I ended up reading for 3 hours straight. I haven't moved from my spot not even once. Chapter after chapter of intrigued and fucked up characters. Really fucked up characters. It's going to take me time to work myself into that mindset while writing. No wonder Jeremy doesn't read her work. All her books are from the villain's point of view. So that's new to me. I really should have read all these books before arriving. I stand up to stretch out my spine, but it doesn't even really hurt. The desk chair I've been sitting in is in the most comfortable piece of furniture my ass has ever pressed against. I looked around, wondering if I should go through the computer files next or printed files. I decided to check out her laptop. I browsed several files in Microsoft Word, which seems to be the program she preferred. All the files I find are related to books she's already written. I'm not too worried about those books. I want to find any plans she had for the books yet to be written. Most of the files on her laptops are the same as the files on her desktop. Maybe Verity was the type of author who handwrote her outlines. I turned my attention to the stack of boxes on the back wall near the closet. A thin layer of dust coats the top of them. I go through several boxes, pulling out versions of manuscripts at various stages in the writing process, but they're all versions of books in her series that she's already written. Nothing hidden at what she planned to write next. I'm on the sixth box, rummaging through the contents when I find something with an unfamiliar title. This one is called So Be It. I flip the first few pages, hoping I'll get lucky and find that it's an outline for the seventh book in the series. Almost immediately, I can tell that it isn't. This seems personal. I flip back to the first page of chapter 1 and read the first line. I sometimes think back on the night I met Jeremy and wonder, had we not made eye contact, would my life still end the same? As soon as I see Jeremy's name mentioned, I scan a little more of the page. It's an autobiography. It's not at all what I was searching for. An autobiography isn't what the publishers are paying me to turn in, so I should just move on. But I look over my shoulder and make sure the door is shut because I'm curious. Besides, reading some of this is research. I need to see how Verity's mind worked to understand her as a writer. That's my excuse anyway. I carry the manuscript to the couch, make myself comfortable, and begin reading. I'm going to pause here and bring it back in the next video.